I screwed up and forgot to do the disclaimer! Welcome back to Am I Mental, everybody? I'm your host, E. This is a weekly live podcast where we share stories about how life impacts mental health and mental health impacts life. I am riding a natural high right now. I've had some amazing conversations, real deep therapeutic shit, been up all night dealing with this stuff, and I'm coming out much stronger on the other side. With us tonight is our co-host and latest addition to the podcast, Oz.
What's up, Am I Mental fam?
And then we have a regular from our chat, Richard, and his mom, T.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
All right.
Welcome.
So, before we get started, everyone, really fast, I'm going to address it in the chat. Thank you very much for the kind words about the song. I got that song done in 40 minutes, just so you guys know.
Like savant speed.
Pretty good.
I've always been really good at writing music. I've been writing music since 99. So it's more practice than it is anything else. You know, when you practice something enough, you get good at it.
That's why I've produced songs and taken a month and then threw them away because I'm like, this is garbage.
If I get stuck
40 minutes.
If I get stuck on a song for a month, I pack it away and come back to it a year later and see if it can be recovered.
Discipline.
If I come back a year later and I still can't do anything with it, I don't throw it away because I might be able to learn off of it. So yeah. One thing I wanted to ask before we got going on the topic. I've been kicking around this idea for a while. I haven't even approached the co-hosts about it, so they're being ambushed with this. Those who are listening, like Bexy, and here is us. And it's something I want to open up to all of us that are co-hosts and hosts, which is maybe doing little live sessions on occasion on the Discord or Facebook of observations. Because we've talked about things that we've observed inside the podcast, outside the podcast, don't have time to actually address it. Would people be interested in that? Like, are you guys concerned? Do you guys actually enjoy some of the things I think of? Because there's been some things I've had lately that have been really profound to me, and I don't know if they're profound to anybody else or if it was just the right time for me. Again, the whole goal being maybe I can help someone. Is there an interest?
So
in
you're
that?
talking about small community events? Like
Yeah.
small live events?
Yeah, just spontaneous. Hey, if you guys tune in, great. If not, well, it's recorded, so there you go.
Oh, there you go. I'm down.
What do you think, Richard and T?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, especially if it's not just on like Thursdays, that would be pretty good because but most Thursdays I can make in the show, but it's just one of those things where it's just I have friends and I'll be coming home from work. I'm like, oh, when I get home, I'll listen to E's podcast, and then I'm like, I'm all set up, and then something will just happen, and I'm like, but no one will do anything on a weekend. All of my friends.
Well, we are moving.
All...
If you listened to episode 0 at the beginning of the season, and some of you guys haven't heard it yet, shame on you! No, just kidding. No shame, no shaming. But we are going to be moving the podcast to either Friday evenings or Saturday evenings starting next season. We didn't want to just spring it on everyone. We want to give everyone a season's worth of podcast episodes to get used to it. And we're going to announce it constantly. This is coming. This is happening. And there's a part of me, like my friends are running a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, and they're trying to decide whether to run it on Fridays or Saturdays. And there's a part of me going, whatever day you do the Dungeons & Dragons, I will move the podcast to the other day, and everyone else will have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Because it's Dungeons & Dragons, and I need this. It's therapy.
For sure.
But honestly,
about that D&D life.
But honestly, if like we're going to put up a poll or something on the Discord, and if it winds up that it overlays on the D&D night, lay savage. I'll just run my own campaign and have other people come join me.
There you go. Spin-off podcast.
Do like a Critical Role. Critical Miss. All right, so the topic or the title of this podcast is Anxiety of Unusual Size? I hardly think it exists. So T, one of us should actually talk a little bit about how we know each other. Like this whole thing, how it began. Because we started out rough and raw. And I don't mean that sexually at all. I mean that emotionally. Because it was brutal.
Oh, yeah. I was going through a divorce. But you're better at this than I am. So go ahead.
Yeah,
I think I met you, was it like 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was about 10 years ago. And I was working for that one company that's also... ironically named the same as a drug testing company here in this area. And it's not LabCorp. So I worked for this IT company as a managed service provider. Now, what managed service providers do, for people who don't know, is that they can either supplement your own company's IT all the way up to and including taking over your company's IT if that's what you wish. For the company that T was working for, they decided to have us take over their IT. We hosted some of their servers. They had their own server room for the rest of the stuff. And in their contract, once a month, someone came on site. That eventually became me. I'm that kind of person that you can rely on me to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, and I'm going to do it very professionally, but I'm also going to give it that personalized touch because I can't help it. It's who I am. And I'm pretty sure that entire office loved me.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Like, I can't remember the name of your boss, but she kept trying to justify hiring me away from that company. It was like, but literally, you have enough work for me to do that I could get done in 2 days of a month. It's too much for 1 day. It's too little for 2 days. I don't think you could justify hiring me on full time. And As much as I would love to have done it, but I'd be sitting around picking my nose and stealing money for most of that time, and I would eventually feel guilty for that. Not right away, but eventually. But yeah, she was working for a company that did phone books in an era that phone books are... My kids don't know what they are.
Right?
They see this weird yellow block of paper laying on the driveway, and they're like, oh, that needs to go in the garbage. That's their exact thoughts when they see it.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been that long.
It's been a long time. So anyway, we were on a call. T was having an issue, and I was trying to help remotely. And you were emotional, just wreck. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why you decided to open up to me. People open up to me. They just do. They always. It's just one of those things. It's the life of E. People open up to me.
I think when I was talking to you, and I think like my throat, or like it sounded like I was crying, and you're just like, what's going on? Because you had been in the office a few times, and just
all I knew is that you were a Raiders fan, and I can't get along.
Oh, with you and you're like, oh, I have to talk to her.
No, because I'm a 49er fan. I actually like football.
I know. You just wanted to fight me. That's what it was. And at the time, I was really into football as well.
Yeah. Raider fans always think that everyone wants to fight them. We just want to laugh.
You know what? I was big on football, but now I don't watch it. I haven't watched it ever since COVID, so...
I still watch it. The COVID era was weird. You hear all the crowd noises, but there's nobody in the stands. There's all these cardboard cutouts.
Right?
I'm like, that has got to be as comfortable as having an enema in, Tijuana with no anesthetic as a player in that kind of situation. Since you, as a player, never had that. Even when you were in Pop Warner, you had fans.
Right? It just wasn't for me. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't watch this.
I was a Niners fan growing up in the city. Like I've been a Niners fan forever. I stopped watching probably like a decade ago. I was tired of. I felt like I was going to games and watching games just to see my friends get the shit kicked out of them, and I can't get in there to help them. So I was like, you know what? You don't want to walk away from the abuse. I have to. This is for me, not for you.
Yeah. There's a reason that I've only gone to a couple of preseason games. One of it is that it's too fucking expensive to go to a regular season game anymore. Because unless you're still playing in a dilapidated old-ass stadium like they were at Candlestick, you could afford to go to that. You can't afford to go to where they play now in Santa Clara. And, I mean, honestly, who wants to spend $150 to go sit and fry in the sun? Because that stadium is designed awfully.
And how many people does this stadium hold? That many people? They shelled it out, right?
It didn't. Okay, so they actually, when they designed the stadium, they were designing it with the Super Bowl in mind, and they didn't think to consider having the minimum number of seats required to host a Super Bowl. So they actually had to extend the stadium during the Super Bowl.
Ooh.
Because, well, the Bay Area business people, they're just yes men. They surround themselves with yes men. You ask a question, you're fired. Anyway, so T started just breaking down on the phone. I had to tell my manager briefly, with a quick mute, it's like, hey, I have someone on the phone. They're having a crisis. I'm going to go into one of the private offices, and we're going to work this out. I'm sorry.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I did that. You might have not talked to Rick. He was my manager, but he did some tech stuff. Dude is brilliant. He's one of my... I miss him so much. He's like one of the very few managers I actually hung out with outside of work. So I went into another office, and we talked for what, hour and a half, 2 hours. You were talking about, the divorce. You kept asking if I knew any nice guys, and you were all over the place. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, my brother-in-law is one of the nicest, most amazing guys you'll ever meet, but you are not ready for him. You will hurt him at this point. You were toxic, no. But you needed a friend, and I recognize that. And I was willing to be your friend. Because we have quite a bit in common. And, we've been in contact off and on this whole time. You came and you got to hold my baby.
That's when you met Isaiah.
Yeah.
Richard. Or
Name drop.
Name drop.
Austin's dying over there. Look at him.
It's only been 11 minutes.
Do you know how hard that's going to be? Hello.
Yeah. So And that's when I met Richard, and I mean, we hit it off. You know, we bonded over memes. Let's be honest. That's what we bonded over more than anything was memes.
Oh yeah.
Power of memes.
Meme, like seriously, there's a book out there called Freedom Through Memedom. It's amazing. It's all about fighting power systems through memes. Yeah. It's power hates being mocked.
Well, and then here's the thing too. It's just like they're going to be teaching that stuff in the history books. Like, come 20 years, they're going to be like, "Oh, hey, here's this Joe Biden meme, Dark Brandon. Here's what King Emperor Trump means. This is what
or the
Obama
Uncle Joe."
Yeah,
and the
Thanks, Obama.
context.
Yeah, and you're going to get the VP Joe Biden pranking memes with Obama telling him, "Knock it off, Joe. Knock it off, Joe."
Yeah, so this
and you're going to have the Cheeto Hitler memes, and you know it doesn't matter where you stand politically. There's a meme that targets what you love. There's no such thing as a sacred cow being protected when it comes to memes. You aim for the sacred cows.
Mm-hmm.
And memes are also great. They're also great for mental health. Some of the most powerful messages I've ever seen came from memes. You're combining the power of an image, which is worth 1,000 words, with a brief message to help focus that 1,000 words into a very profound message.
Well, how many times have you been cruising Facebook and you see your friends posting specific memes and you're like, all right, they haven't said anything, but they've said a lot. I'm reaching out.
Exactly.
Just to make sure they're okay, right?
Exactly.
Memes can be powerful.
They're a pretty good indicator of like what somebody's going through. I have a group chat that I've had with my high school friends probably for like a good part of 11 years. And there are days where there's no words being said. It's just pictures going back and forth.
And it's powerful. It's amazing. Like, especially once you start getting into meme culture and you start learning specific memes, that you can just drop the image without the words and still deliver the message.
Exactly.
One of the more common ones is there's no way that you can go ahead and make anyone understand a meme that's just with blocks. And so you have this white block with a smaller white block sitting on it with 5 black blocks behind it. And you both knew exactly which meme I was talking about by just describing blocks. That is the power of memes. That is the power of visual stuff.
Well, in a sense, it's become like a language, just with like pictures, like what was it called, like hieroglyphs?
Yeah, that's a good
point. To mean something, because there's context related to it, but only to the people who lived in that time.
Right, and if you look at also like through time, the meanings of what we do now and the meanings of what they did then are pretty identical. Like there's graffiti that they found from the ashes of the Pompeii eruption, you know, and the graffiti said like Bob's a dick, stuff like that. There was nothing profound about it. It was the same thing as we do today. You know, Kilroy was here. For a good time, go visit this person's house. You know, stuff like that. You know, and people are like, oh, yeah, you know, so, like, also, like, Greek mythology. They were, like, so good. Like, dude, Greek mythology? They were poking fun at gods and laughing at them. That was the... Oh, son of a bitch! Buster! Fuck me! My dog just leaned against the cable and just caused me to spill really big. Ooh. Hey, Oz, can you take over for a little bit? I gotta go clean up.
Yeah, sure. Pressure's on. First solo act. So, question for you, T. What I know E is pretty convincing. What and you said that you're a longtime friend of the show. What made you want to come on the show and share?
Honestly, it was more Richard, actually. And I was like, hey, you really need to get him on the show. He listens to you every Thursday. And I think he would just be great. I think we were talking about anxiety, actually. But then I told him that I would really like for him to bring Richard on the show. But I was telling him a story that my daughter was telling me that her anxiety was through the roof one day. And I'm like, your anxiety, there's no such thing as anxiety, Alyssa.
We had a conversation about that. That's a cultural thing right there.
Oh yeah,
Right?
totally. Mexican, there's no such thing as anxiety. So E and I were talking about that, and I'm just like, one day I get home from work and I'm like, oh my God, my anxiety's through the roof. I feel like I'm going to jump out of my body. And my daughter's like, she looked at me dead in the eye and she's like, Mom, there's no such thing as anxiety. And I'm like, and she's just looking at me and I'm like, no, it's a real thing. And she's like, yeah, I know. And I was just like, it was just like
Ouch.
blown away.
Yeah. And so, and a question for you, Richard, like you, long-time listener to the show, obviously part of the community, part of the fam, right? By being a part of today's show, and talking about anxiety, it's maybe a little early for this question, but what would you want the people listening to today's show take away about the overall arching theme of anxiety?
Well, I think what I'd want people to take away from it is like because a lot of people
real.
like one, it's real, and one, it's not always a good idea to compare anxieties.
Nope.
Because here's the
Right.
thing. There's always going to be somebody with a better life than you. There'll always be somebody with a worse life than you. The best person and the worst person you've ever met in your life probably deals with a lot of anxiety, like on like what you would consider dumb things. Like somebody might have anxiety by having to go to the store to buy a carton of milk. And to us, that seems like, well, that's an everyday thing, but not to them.
So kind of like me, I think my daughter, her anxiety isn't real because you're 20 years old, you're not married, you don't have a kid, you don't have, the stress that I have. There's no such thing. So, but there is, like right now, I feel I have anxiety just being on this show. My heart is beating and I feel like I want to jump out of my body and I don't know why. And I'm like, okay, just calm down. Nobody could see you. You're just talking.
Yeah, we're just having a conversation. I'm back.
Yep. Welcome.
Fucking dog.
Right. Yeah, anxiety is very contextual. It's very personal. Two people can have the same anxiety trigger, but experience that anxiety in completely different ways. Right. So it's, even if it looks like you're comparing apples to apples, it's not.
No.
Because everybody's life experiences are different. Everybody experiences life different. Everybody experiences fear and pain, even love and joy. That's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes us individuals, right?
And even if you did decide to go with apples and apples are different. Go to Apple Hill or go to any if you're in San Diego, you go to Julian. There's a place. Everybody has a place where the apples are the king. Every apple is very different. Yeah, they're all, like in this case, they're all anxiety. But they all are different. They all taste different. They all crunch different. They all act different. They all treat you differently.
Yeah, but when you come from a Mexican background, Latino, and, your mom, I'm first generation, so there's no such thing as anxiety. They don't talk about mental.
Yeah,
you just
What
push
was-
through.
What was that experience like for you? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
step
go
on
for
you.
it.
Yeah, so you had previously, it sounded like, told your daughter that anxiety isn't real, and then she parroted back to you. What was that aha moment like for you as a mom? Because I think what a lot of our listeners have kids, and it's really hard as a parent. I know for me, I have a 26-year-old. Yeah, she's turning 27 this year. I'm helping raise my better half son, and humility, right, is not easy for a lot of people when it comes to being a parent, and to be wrong on such a subject that you're now learning is really impactful. What was that aha moment like for you?
Ew, it was a big eye opener. I'm like, wow, okay, I could take a step back now. And she's like, Mom, my anxiety's different than yours. Like Richard was explaining, everybody's anxiety is different. She just has anxiety, being in public. Her anxiety is, it's just totally different from mine. But just her kind of throwing that in my face, looking me dead in the eye and saying, it's not real. And I'm like, no, it is real. It's definitely real. And I'm sorry. I apologized to her. I was like, I'm sorry that I said that. I'm sorry that I didn't recognize, that anxiety is real and that you're going through it. I just wanted her just to push through it. Just get over it. It's not real. Move on. There's no such thing as anxiety, but it is. It's real.
And in some cases, pushing through it is the right answer. Sometimes it makes things worse. And I'm just going to say
ignoring
this.
it, not dealing with the root of it.
This is why we're friends.
Exactly.
You were able to eat that humble pie and deal with it in a very, very healthy manner. It could have gone. It could have gone badly.
I mean, I was feeling guilty. Like, I'm like, wow, I was just pushing my daughter away, and telling her it's not real and just not caring about her feelings and not trying to understand why she's feeling that way. Because, Richard, we just our background, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, you just push through it. You can't sit there and just cry because this is going on or you're feeling this. No, you get your fucking ass up and you get to work and you make that money and you pay those bills. It's hardcore when you come from that type of a background.
And Richard, that was amazing what you dropped in the chat. I just told Bexy it needs to be a t-shirt. Anxiety is like a cop car. It's not really there until it starts flashing its lights and pulling you over.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to experience the highest levels of anxiety you'll ever experience in your entire life, when you're driving on the freeway and all of a sudden that CHP that's in the other side crosses the meridian and starts coming in your direction with its lights on. Even if you didn't do shit, you did everything wrong. And you know.
Even if there's no lights. Like, I grew up, I'm a 100% inner city product. I am a good, fine, upstanding member of society now. But because of that life I live, now, if a cop pulls up behind me, I'm stressed out. You want to talk about anxiety? I'm like, I'm going to jail. I ain't done anything wrong in hella long, right? And my friends will laugh at me, but I'll start to sweat. They'll be like, "Are you cool?" I'm like, "I'm fat. Leave me alone." I get hot. But I'm really stressing out about the cop behind me. Right?
But I think that's
Eddie,
everybody.
Let me guess. You're sitting there running through everything you did. What's the statute of limitations on this? What's the statute of limitations on this?
100%. Did I possibly leave something in my car from 10 years ago before I had my car?
I mean, I get that anxiety, and I'm straight. I've never done anything bad in my life, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Bullshit. I will say this. I wish that we could have had someone from the Anxiety Treatment Center Sacramento on this episode. I don't think we're big enough yet to be able to draw them in, but I want to. I went there. I had a child that went there. I had coworkers I recommended to go there. It's amazing. One of the things that they do, and it's one of the greatest ways to really conceptualize what anxiety is like. Because, I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect analogy. Let's get that out there now. There's always a point where it breaks down and fails. The key of a good analogy is you know where that break point is and you push it to that edge. And then you acknowledge you can't go any further than this. That's a good analogy. So what they do is they have this equestrian therapy they do every 2 weeks, where they take everyone from the anxiety treatment center and they take it to the doctor's personal house and ranch out in, it's out. It's beautiful. Oh my God, it's beautiful. I was there twice. I loved it. And they bring out Princess Kate the donkey, and I cannot remember the name of the big ass black Belgian stallion that comes out. And it's like sometimes your anxiety is like a donkey. It's small and stubborn as shit and will not cooperate and might bite you. And other times your anxiety is gigantic like this horse, but with the slightest little nudging, you can get it to do what you need to do. And what you did is you laid out an obstacle course and you picked Princess Kate or the horse and you guided them, and each obstacle you would put out very specifically as a reason behind why it's there. And one that I did was that I did like a slalom course with one cone way out in the distance. It's like, this is my daily anxiety, and it always feels like the horse. That horse can, if it wants to, kick the shit out of me and probably kill me.
Do you feel a lot of your anxiety comes from just growing up? Like, I went to these retreats, and it's called the Center of Consciousness, I think, in Sacramento. And the first retreat is about your mom. The second retreat is about your dad. The third retreat is about your relationships that you've been in, and then the fourth retreat is about yourself. And
I need to go.
Oh no, seriously. So you go. So it's like a weekend thing. So my boss that I used to work for, he paid for me. He's like, you really need to go on these retreats. I think it would help you. And so you go up on a Friday night, and you're up for like hours, and you're in these groups Friday, Saturday, and then you come back on Sunday. I can't really talk about it because I signed a disclosure.
Right,
but
right.
But I feel like everything that I've learned, and I feel like a lot of my anxiety comes from when I was a child and how I was raised.
So I have a guest that I'm going to be scheduling. See, they're busy this weekend. Next weekend, I'm going to see them Saturday, and we're going to get them scheduled. Her entire mission in life is that she has a company and program that she's running that is now she's trying to get government aid to expand her program. It's about addressing childhood trauma as a child, so you don't carry it into your adulthood and have it fuck up every relationship you've had from being a child until you finally realize I'm fucked up.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I think that's and it's like even my doctor, even my therapist constantly points out things that, like, where's this defense mechanism coming from? Where's this anxiety coming from? It served a purpose at one point.
Echoes of the past is what I call them, right?
Yeah, and it's always childhood trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am largely the way I am today because of the environment that I grew up in. And it is, like I was talking about, like I live a pretty straight life now, but like even like Sarah was saying, I've heard it from other people I've been with and friends. To this day, I will not sit indoors with my back to a door. Will not happen. I will not sit with my back to a window if I can avoid it. My head is always on a swivel. I'm always looking for the threat, because of the way that I grew up.
So I gotta ask you this, Oz. You live out in BFE. Are you still like that even on your own property?
I think I'm it depends on the time of day. So I am a little bit, because the predators out here are different. The predators in the city walk on two legs, right? Yeah, the predators out here are like 45 to 65 pound cats who will skin me before I can scream.
Yeah, they will crush your windpipe before you even have a chance to be shocked.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, mountain lions are no joke.
No. I was hunted by a mountain lion. I should tell you that story sometime.
Yeah. Honestly, whenever I'm out of my property, I should have one of my guns on, for sure. It would be the smart thing to do. But kind of hard to carry a gun when you're wearing shorts and trying not to die in 109-degree weather. So, but yeah.
And also, even if your head's on a swivel, unless you know how to spot a cat that's stalking you, you will never see it coming. I was less than 5 feet away from the one that was hunting me, and I couldn't even see it. And I was staring right at it. I knew where it was, but I couldn't see it.
I can spot a human predator like a mile away, no problem. Like, I know the body language, I know the facial expressions, I know the composure. It's the environment I grew up in. Nature's a whole different kind of beast. Like, I've gotten more scared by deer out here that I've spooked that were bedding down, jumped up and ran away, than I have from people pulling guns on me in the city. Because I didn't know what the deer was before I saw it. I just heard the wrestling. I was like, I'm gonna die. It's gonna eat me.
That's the cat.
Exactly, right?
No. So just for your own, this is fucked up. I'm being fucked up right now. Just so you know, for your own sake, if it was a cat that's coming for you, don't worry. You would never hear it as it was leaving or coming towards you. You'll hear the deer.
Thanks, you're a sweet guy, and I love you.
So I will cap off when I was being hunted. The only reason I knew that the cat was there, that my dogs caught the scent of the cat. My dogs were downwind, and they were in their kennel, and they lost their collective shit. And I thought, am I actually upwind of them? I don't smell the dog shit, you know? And I stand up to look at them. I'm like, hey, puppers. And I noticed they weren't looking at me. They were looking directly behind me. And when I looked right behind me, I could have reached out and pet this cat. It was that close. As soon as I locked eyes with the cat, it knew its cover was blown and it ran. And that cat, at the time, outweighed me. And it still gave up because it lost its advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any cats on my property yet. Like deer, all kinds of deer, like rabbits, stuff like that.
So here's the
I've heard
thing.
parrot.
If you see the deer, then obviously they're not sensing any predators. And they are way more sensitive to those things than you are.
Yeah. The deer up here, like, really don't give a fuck. Like, people must pay them. Or not pay them, but feed them. Because I've been on my porch and they've walked up in my driveway and I was like, "What's up, homie?" Like,
well, you see, here's the thing: the deer that go out into the deep wilderness get killed by humans that are hunting. The deer that stay in cities and in little towns and all that, where you cannot kill them, they survive. So that behavior is passed on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that deer set tripping and I was like in the wrong place.
Same reason.
Yeah,
that
I was getting mean mugged by a deer. Like, it didn't look like cute little Bambi. It was like, "What are you doing here, fool?" And I'm like, "I'm on my porch."
And you're like, you're on my
yeah.
property. I'm a deer. You're a human. You built this. I lived here.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that whole Bane speech.
Oh,
I was born in.
yeah.
But yeah. So, but get back to the guest.
Yes.
We tangent like crazy, right?
Hey, less tangent, more topic. Let's get back on topic.
There we go.
I was just about to do the reel in too. But I mean, go for it. You had a thought. Go for it. I was trying to piece together a thought on the fly.
So we heard a little bit from T about her anxiety and her realization with her daughter. What about you, Richard? Like, what is you have a great takeaway for everybody. Did you have a pivotal moment where you felt like you started to not just understand anxiety for yourself, but understanding anxiety in others?
Yeah. So me and my mom are often in the car a lot together. We are the ones who occupy the front two seats, and I have a tendency, just unconsciously, just to look at her head, not at her eyes, her head. I don't know why. Like,
no, I know what he's looking at. He's looking at my bald spot. And I'm like, Isaiah, would you please stop looking at my bald spot and pointing it out? And he's like, I'm just noticing it. I'm like, knock it off.
The next time I see you, I'm gonna poke it.
It's my beauty mark, by the way.
I'm gonna boop the bald.
But so I'll be staring at it, and I'll just look away, and like I'll just I'll look elsewhere, and I'll get lost in thought, and out of nowhere, at least to me, it feels like she's yelling at me because of it. She's like, "Hey, can you stop looking?" And I'm like, "Oh, I wasn't looking." And she's like, "You are." And she says, "I'm going to start doing it to you when you least expect it." So fast forward, we get home, we're eating a meal together, and she just starts looking at my head, and I'm like, I'm eating like noodles, and I'm like, whatever, I'm going to just keep looking down. And then I could just feel the talons on my head. And I'm like, and I think that's when I began to notice, I'm like, hey, I probably do stare at people a little more than usual. So I'm probably going to stop doing that.
For what it's worth, I only kind of got a creeper vibe from you. No.
Oh, dude, but his anxiety went through the roof. He's like, "What are you looking at? What's wrong with me?" And I'm like, "Nothing. Yeah. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "I'm just looking at you."
And meanwhile, as a mother, you're sitting there going, "Just rewards. This is amazing."
Yeah. It's like that experiment where it was in New York where somebody went out on a corner of in Manhattan and just looked up at the building, and what's he looking at? And all of a sudden, like, you blink, and 15 minutes later, there's 30 people standing on a corner, all staring up. Like, that whole having attention drawn to you like that, that's not the business. it really isn't. So but I do kind of the same thing, Richard, that you were saying. Like, when I'm deep in thought, I'll stare at nothing. But if that nothing I'm looking at happens to be somebody, like, I'll make people's skin crawl. because I think I'm just like super hardcore gawking at them, and I don't even know they exist. I'm just in my head trying to shuffle through the bullshit of ADD, trying to gather, my squirrel's trying to find a nut. And
I actually have an insight for you on this. When you're ready, go ahead and finish.
No, ADD, it's gone.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I know that happens to me too. I'm so bad. Anyway, so the thing is that the way that we are programmed as humans is that if anyone is looking at you for more than 3 seconds, and that they know that they're looking at you, which could also be I'm just staring off into the distance and I happen to be looking at you, that 3-second mark usually means that it's either sexual or violent. And that's what makes people really uncomfortable after that 3-second mark. And if you notice, it's about 3 seconds that someone's staring at you, you're like, okay, am I attracted to you? Or are you
what if it's my son? Does he want to murder me? Is that what you're saying?
He may just be obsessed with your bald spot. But that's the internal response. That
right.
Instinctual response is it sexual or is it aggression? And when it comes from your own family or your own children, it takes a whole different level of uncomfortable.
Yeah. So, and it's situational too, right? Because everybody who's trying to get a job, they're taught make eye contact, have an open demeanor. I've been in leadership roles for 20-ish years or so, and I've literally interviewed well over 1,000 people, and I have been. And when people stare at me, if I'm ready for it, it doesn't bug me. But being on a panel with people who may not have interviewed people like I have, like they're like, why is this person just like basically eye fucking me? Like, why are they staring at me so hard? They're weird. We can't hire them. Like, they have the best credentials, the best answers, but he was staring me down. Like, no, somebody dumb told them to not take their eyes off of your eyes, not realizing it gave them a recipe to creep you out. Like, they're trying to make a good impression, not make you run and hide. But
so look at it this way: he takes advice well.
Right? He's coachable.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think with Richard, I think I give him anxiety. He probably doesn't want to talk about it because we're on the show together, but I'm pretty sure I'm part of a lot of his anxiety.
One thing I've noticed about you the entire time that I have known you is that you pile undeserved guilt on yourself a lot, and I think you're doing that right now. Just so
I do. But I think when I went on those retreats, you are who you are because of your parents.
Yeah.
Because of your mom, because of your dad, because of your surroundings. And I know Isaiah probably gets a lot of that because of me, because of what I've done to him.
You ever watch Dragon, the Bruce Lee story?
No.
Yeah.
One of the most profound lines that has impacted me to be the person that I am today is you pass your demons on to your children.
Yeah, it's true.
So if you slay your demons, your children are protected from them. Which is why I am dealing with some of the most difficult shit I've ever dealt with in my life right now. I've done this before. I will tackle some demons, and then I take a few years to regather myself. And then I tackle more demons because the demons I'm tackling, they're big.
But I think the great part is that we communicate now. Like, I can sit down with my kids, have a conversation. We have a safe word or a word like it's popcorn. Like if I'm just too much, because I am sometimes, and I'm just like, rah, 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 and they're just like popcorn. So that means don't take it personal. Step away.
Fan.
Yeah.
It's like, told you she's a Raiders fan.
That's amazing.
No, but seriously, having that safe word, chef's kiss.
Yeah, I've suggested that to a lot of people who they're like, I don't know how to communicate with my significant other. And I'm like, and I know quite a bit of people in, I'll say alternative communities that use safe words. And I'm like, you're used to using those in specific situations. You
expand the
concept.
concept.
They're helpful in real life, because if you get to a point where things are becoming overbearing, the person you're talking with there's a point where they're going to stop listening. When you're fighting, like if you're fighting with somebody, you stop listening, you're waiting to speak. Or if you're feeling anxiety from that conversation, you're not waiting to speak, you're waiting to be able to make your escape, right? And if they know they have the ability, and the safe word doesn't necessarily work the first time. You have to build trust. So the first time you said popcorn, wow, she actually stopped, or he actually stopped. The second time, that conversation can go a lot further because they know they can rely on that safe word, because they know that it'll stop if it has to stop, and that can help prevent anxiety. It's such a healthy thing you guys are doing. It's amazing.
It is. And the safe word, sorry, was pepperoni, not popcorn pepperoni. But it was hard for me because, my daughter's like, Mom, you don't stop. You just keep going and going, and you're making my anxiety go through the roof. Like, it's nothing personal. It's kind of like, I just needed to understand that she needed space or he needed space, and just give them a minute. It's nothing personal on my part, because we take things personal, and I'm taking it like, oh, they don't want to talk to me. They're just ignoring me. But I needed to take a step back and just be like, hey, she needs a moment. She needs a second. I need to walk away. It's nothing personal. We'll come back. And we do. It's like, okay, walk away. Mom, just stop. Okay. She needs a minute. I need a minute. Walk away. And then we come back and talk. And I love that I can have that with my kids. Like, we can have those types of conversations. And when we see other people arguing, we're like, oh, we have a safe word, and it's for you basically to back the fuck off.
Right.
Back
What's
off.
Up,
One thing I did want to say too is, like, when you first start using a safe word, if the person doesn't catch it the first time you say it, it's not the end of the world. It's new to them too. Repeat it. Mm-hmm. Then you'll find out where they really stand when it comes to the safe word. Yeah. Because it's a training thing, And one thing that I did with our kids when they are now older kids moved out, we took a maraca. It was the talking stick. If you had it, you could talk. Mm. And I could tell also, just this is something. The last thing I wanted to say before I return it back to you is that we're Gen Xers. Most of us were left to raise ourselves. Also,
Hell,
we're the ignored generation, the lost generation, the latchkey kids. And one thing that we learned is that for us to get our way is that we have to be ruthless with what we need to say to get our way. And also, advice that we got from our elders was never go to bed with something unsaid. So that drives us to be that overbearing, relentless, you need to listen to what I'm saying because we can't have this between us. And damn if that is not a stick of dynamite going off in your relationship.
Yeah, and it goes, again, it's contextual, right? The things where we become overbearing, we have a lot to say, and we want to get on them, and we're pushing people, especially if we feel somebody's making a big deal of something that shouldn't be a big deal. It may not be a big deal to us because we're past the part of our life where it was a big deal. We've learned how to deal with it. It was a big deal to us at some point, guarantee it. But we've now learned at our age and wisdom how to deal with it. It's not a big deal to us. And we forget you need to give people the space to learn those same lessons so it's not a big deal to them later on. Using a safe word, like you said, gives them that ability to dial it back, think about it, and to help us who get told that safe word to go, oh, hey, I need to do this for them. Their feelings are more important than what I feel I have to say. And it's trust building, it's respect building.
I think I'm really closer now to my kids. They're all pretty much adults, except for my youngest, she's 17, but I think we communicate pretty well with each other. I mean, they all moved back with me. Everybody lives with me. I thought I was going to be an empty nester by the time I was 42, but that didn't happen. But I think we have a great relationship. Or what do you think, Richard?
Sorry, that was
that
was actually.
He's choking on the lie. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but
I mean, compared to the way my relationship with grandma.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
So like the way we communicate is just it's different. Like I can't communicate with my mom. She speaks totally different language, I can at least somewhat get on the same level with my kids because I can take a step back. And we talked about this, Eric. I can take a step back.
Name drop.
And put.
Dang. Let's see. How long was that? That was 47 minutes. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Wow.
He was timing it. I'm like, 52 minutes minus 5. Yeah, 40. Hey, there you go.
Am I the only person that has done that? I'm sorry.
You've done two.
A few.
Okay,
Three, twice for the same person. No one's keeping count.
And it would be me.
Yeah. No one's keeping count, as I actually have a notes tally going on that I do every season. Because it's fun. It's irreverent fun that keeps the podcast light. But from an outsider's perspective, I could say that just when I first met you and Richard, I first met Richard, and first time I got to see you two together, you guys have a special relationship. You don't have a very traditional mother-son relationship. It's a very strong bond. I can see there's a lot of trust in each other, and that's a beautiful thing.
Well, because he grew up with me. I had him when I was 15 years old. He's only 15 years younger than me. So it's like he knows everything about me. I know everything about him. He knows all my flaws. He can just put it right in front of me, Mom.
But it's one of those things where when she does talk to my grandma, her mom, I have a tendency just to eavesdrop and listen, and I just can't stop laughing because it just sounds like my grandma is giving my mom like a talking to. She's like, "You should straighten up," and it's just, for me, it just sounds so funny.
So it's like you hear her mom reading the riot act to your mom.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to have a really open relationship with my mom as well, but still growing up, I mean, born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, like it was authoritarian. Like it was, my parents were at home, they were at work, and when they were home, if I was acting up, I was getting my ass.
Wait, was your mom Filipino?
Yeah.
Okay.
Born and raised in the Philippines.
Okay.
But at the same time, to the day she passed, like if she moved quickly, I would flinch because she was quick with the chinella, get that ass beat.
Like Eddie Murphy used to say about the mom with the boomerang high heels.
Dude, it's not a joke.
Now my parents were actually a little bit ahead of their time. I mean, my dad's a Vietnam era vet. My dad was very much you bottle it up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you just plow through, real men don't cry. My mom was very much more in line with the modern mental health is health kind of movement. Of course, this is when it was in its, as a premature baby, it was super young and super helpless and super alien to people in her own generation, for the most part. I mean, I will say that, the boomers, they started this mental health thing for us. And I'm glad they did. And my mom was like, look, I know your dad doesn't want you crying. Take a long shower. I got what she meant.
Yep.
And it was helpful. It was a way of coping. Was it the healthiest way? No. Was it the healthiest way in the environment I was in? Absolutely. And I love her for that.
I got something similar with my mom. Like my mom is the one who taught me that if I'm sad, cry, let it out, scream, you scream and let the tears flow if you have to. Feel it hard, and then let it go.
Yeah.
My dad is like, keep a stuffed upper lip. Like, boy, don't make me give you something to cry about. So
I think that's how I raised Richard. Boy, I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah.
I can hear the Bill Cosby line now. Boy, I brought you into this world. I'll take you out. Won't matter to me. I'll make another one look just like you.
I might have heard that verbatim.
Do you feel, Richard, that I did that to you? I mean, be honest.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you've watched the Bill Cosby Show because I'm pretty sure you've said that a lot.
Oh no, definitely.
Oh no, that was his stand-up routine called Himself, which, love or hate Bill Cosby, most people hate the Himself routine. Look at it for the art that it is. Separate it from the artist. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and that's the thing. Like, when it comes to like separating the art from the artist, we do it all the time. like not only like in comedy or like in books or like in literature, but like have you ever done trigonometry?
Yeah.
Have you ever used Pythagoras' theorem?
Yes.
Pythagoras had a
That's why I'm
cult.
not a doctor.
What was that? What about Pythagoras?
Pythagoras, the actual Pythagoras guy had a cult, and so he would get people, like a group of people, they would shave their heads, and he'd be like, "Hey, you see that mountain over there? Calculate how tall it is and the angle from where you're standing." And he would have them do that, and that's where we get all our measurements from triangles and angles and stuff. Cosine, tangent.
SOHCAHTOA.
SOHCAHTOA, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, for those people that aren't math nerds, just so you know, trigonometry is a super powerful form of mathematics. It's actually, you can learn it in a lesson, but you could apply it for a lifetime. Also suspicious.
You could learn it in a lesson. No. So I'm dyslexic. I also have dyscalculia. Not as bad as
dyscalculia. Yeah, that'll fuck you up there.
And yeah, so I went to school I wanted to become a psychiatrist. Sat down when I was like 19 at somebody's City College San Francisco, and they're like, these are the courses you'll need to take to get there. Trig was on there. I was like, what do I need Trig for to give somebody therapy? And they're like, it's for critical thinking. I'm like, give me a fucking Rubik's Cube. Like, what the fuck? This is ridiculous. And I walked out and I never went back.
Damn.
So, yeah. No, have I done trigonometry? Nah. It's a sort of subject. Thanks for bringing it up. I'm playing.
No, actually, and honestly, it actually brought up something that I could I was going to make an observation video on. I could just go ahead and throw it out there now about, Pythagoras had a cult, as he said. But let's face it, that cult, that sounds pretty harmless. It's a cult of, let's learn things. That's the kind of cult I would be okay with, except for the shaved head thing. Sorry, Oz, no offense. I love my hair.
My shaved head is just because I don't have enough to do the comb over to make it look good. Now I look like American History Oz, and people think really, really, really like not good things when they see me sometimes. I'm like, really, I'm not that way. I'm just hiding that I'm balding. And
as long as you're not telling people to kiss the curb, we're good.
Yeah. I'm a nice guy now.
There's a reason that there's a reason I'm comfortable hanging out with you.
I've had people like yell at me and be like, "Bro, you need a hug." That usually gets them to walk away like, this dude's weird. I wish I knew how weird, but yeah.
But as I was going to say, the one thing I wanted to kind of break as observation is just the word culture. What's the first four letters of culture?
Yeah.
And what does a cult do other than influence behaviors of groups? And what does a culture do?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say a cult itself is very neutral. It's how it's used is what matters, but we have demonized it to make it to where that word is taboo.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, depending on how you look at it, like you can call a lot of clubs cults, right? I mean, I've been riding motorcycles my whole life. I grew up, I think since age like either 7 or 9, I first learned to ride a bike. And I've known a lot of people in I
mean, you were
clubs.
basically raised by the Hells Angels, let's be honest.
At a young age. At a very young age, I was. But it was, you could call that a cult. Like, they call it a club, I mean, I've been to, like, I went through a super religious phase. Yeah, like, looking back, I'm like, woof, yeah. I mean, they could have been passing around Kool-Aid. I still have faith. Going through some things and trying to figure out that faith at the moment, but I still have faith, But yeah, cults could be all around. So they could be positive, or it could be your chess club.
They have a functionality, which is why we let them still go around.
Right.
Yep.
So like people who are really into movies, well, what do you call a good movie? If it has a it's a cult classic.
Right.
A cult following. You talk about
Look
like
at Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, and yeah, it's a cult classic. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. I personally don't care for it very much, but I'm not a huge musical fan to begin with.
Yeah.
But it's a cult classic.
Yeah, they're everywhere. I mean, you're super super right wing, you're super super left wing. You know, it's the even like there's no discussions. Nobody wants to have an intellectual discussion about the talking points. Is if you are opposing to what my view is, you know, you are the devil, you are wrong, you are going to hell, or you hate people, you know, or whatever it is, you know, you're after my money or whatever their narrative is. But those groups of people stick together. It could be cultish.
And I mean that also highlights the horseshoe theory of extremism. The more further away you pull from the center, the more similar you actually are. Like a horseshoe comes nearly touching each other at the end. Anyway, anxiety. I would have to say that for me, anxiety is that topic that it's like Bruno from Encanto. We don't talk about it. Even to this day, anxiety, when you have it, you don't want to talk about it. You don't want other people talking about your anxiety. Jesus, talk about something that increases your anxiety. People talking about your anxiety. Not even theirs. Even talking about theirs will increase your anxiety because they get anxious talking about it. We feed off each other. We're social beings. We feed off emotions. Most of us. You know? There are the neurodivergent that don't. But yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how anxious I was until I went to the anxiety treatment center and I was like, fuck, I'm a mess.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing the different ways that professionals deal with anxiety. Because I had a pretty bad anxiety disorder when I was younger. Thankfully, I grew out of it. I still get anxiety attacks once in a while. When I do, well, this will kind of lead into it. When I first started getting them, my doctors were like, "Here, take these pills." Not what's causing you anxiety or what do you have anxiety about. Let's not get to the root cause. Like, oh, you're having acute panic attacks. Here, take these pills. You don't have to deal with it anymore. But never teach me how to deal with them.
Yeah, that's
and
like,
then later
let's
on,
treat the symptoms.
Yeah. I'm not going to mention the health system, but they were a pill factory where I was at. Thankfully, I'm no longer with them. I later found a really good therapist who taught me, because I'm very logical minded, so it taught me to think about the anxiety, think about the feelings, and especially when it's an untriggered anxiety attack. For me, do I have a reason to feel this way? No. Okay. In the moment, realize my body's having a physical reaction to something that isn't present. You know, for those people, thankfully, you've never had an anxiety attack. For those who don't, for me, the way they feel sometimes is if you've ever been a passenger in a car, looking at your phone, you look up and you see cars that are stopped in front of you, and the person driving, you have no control. The person driving isn't braking when you think they should brake. That sudden fear, you know,
that is a great way of putting it.
Yeah, it's a panic attack, right? So when I get to that feeling, and it's in those moments when that happens in real life, that fear goes away. You're like, you know, what the fuck were you thinking? Don't you know what a break is? You can get it off your chest, and it's over, and it passes.
And of course they're like, I was well aware of what was going on. You're not paying attention. We're good. We're safe.
Exactly.
But again,
like
as you said, an anxiety attack can come out of the blue, just like that.
But anxiety attacks are like that moment, but that feeling in that moment can last hours or days for some people. It's not over in that moment. And so what my therapist taught me was to ask myself, like, do I have a trigger? What do I have? Do I have a reason to feel this way? Anxiety is actually healthy if it's very short-lived because it is a defense mechanism. It becomes unhealthy when it lasts. You want an anxiety attack. You want that adrenal boost. You want those heightened senses. If you were about to, say, fall on your face off a curb because you missed it, you know, that short burst, that's healthy.
Yeah,
it's not healthy when it lasts seemingly forever.
That huge adrenaline burst causes your your awareness to heighten to the point where everything seems slow motion, which allows you to react fast enough to save your ass. That's the point.
So what do you feel has helped? Like,
so for the most part, I'm good now at, after my talking to my therapist, they said that think about the moment you're in. What's giving you anxiety? Is there an immediate threat why I need to feel this way to be at a heightened thing? No, there's something impending going to happen. I have a big report that's due tomorrow and I might get in trouble. Is the state that I'm currently in going to help me meet that goal? And then I go down the line. Like one of the things that it calls the 5 whys. Like, why do I feel this way? I feel this way because of that. Well, why? Because of that. I answer it and I answer it. And I keep asking myself why, or I keep asking myself, is this helpful? And when I can't answer that question anymore, I ask myself, what would be helpful? What could I do right now to help me meet the goals that are causing this anxiety that I might not meet them? And just the thought process, because I'm not hyper focused on the thing that may be triggering my anxiety, because I'm changing that thought, that line of thought, it breaks that circular thinking chain that I get stuck in. And I can then start to hyper focus. My hyper focus sticks, but I can try to maneuver it into a way. And I look at things as baby steps. If I have that big report due tomorrow, my baby step isn't, okay, write the intro. My baby step, I break it down more granular. I'm very technical, so I get granular. What application do I want to make it? Am I doing it in Notepad? Am I doing it in Pages? Am I doing it in Keynote? Pick my application, and then I pick my template, and I focus on one part at a time. If my brain drifts, I tell myself, nope, I need to get to this step before I can go to the next. And because I'm thought policing myself so hard, and I'm hyper focused on that one step ahead of me, I'm breaking the cycle of that circular thinking that keeps the anxiety going. That's
you're breaking the negative feedback loop.
There you go. Right, and that's been really helpful for me.
And honestly, calling it that really makes sense to me, because like music, feedback is the devil.
Yeah.
And a negative feedback loop does act emotionally like that ooh does physically.
Yep. You know.
And I will say that I am today years old when I have learned the healthiest way I've ever heard on how to deal with anxiety. Thank you, Oz.
Oh, I'm glad it could be helpful. Yeah, it took me like, I don't know, 40 years to figure it out. I think I figured it out about 5 years. Maybe about 10 years ago. And it works.
That's profound.
Yeah. Good therapy, man.
I mean,
good therapy.
I mean, right there, you took the name of one of the greatest albums of our time from one of the better bands, Stain's "Break the Cycle," and you made it right there. I mean, that whole album, if you listen to it, it is a story about breaking negative generational cycles. That is the theme of the album. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is a very profound album.
That's actually a good. That's a good segue back to a thought that had disappeared earlier, where T was talking about being worried about giving Richard, being the cause of some of Richard's anxiety. Right? As parents, it's our job to first protect our children when they can't protect themselves. And then it's our job to teach them how to protect themselves when we're not around. Part of that anxiety comes from, am I doing the things my parents have taught me? Right? Am I doing it to their standards? That's anxiety that I don't know if we could ever break or stop. We may be able to minimize by teaching our kids. I've always tried to teach my kids that it's okay to fail. Fail hard, fail fast, fail forward, and then take your next step, right?
It's just like all my music teachers, the greatest lesson I ever got is, if you're going to fuck up big, and people might think you did it on purpose and not even notice.
Right? You know, it's only bad if you don't learn from it.
Yeah.
You know, keep making the same mistake. You know, like even my employees at work who have some pretty high stress jobs. Like I'll tell them, if they mess up big, and it's obvious that it's a rule that they shouldn't do, but I've never told them that rule, I'll tell them, we've never had that conversation. We've now had it. And so what are we going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? And they're like, I could get fired for this. I was like, yes, you could if you do it again. But let's learn from this. We now know the severity of it, so it never happens again. Let's move forward.
What's the saying that I tell you guys, Isaiah? I'm like,
there's that name drop again.
He's my son. It's hard, Richard. Okay, so he was named after Richard Gere, by the way.
Stop being a dick to your mom, dude. Seriously. Really fast, I just gotta say, when he sits there and is like really enthralled with what Oz is saying, with the slightly off-center camera angle, it looks like it could be a photo, like a headshot for like the dust cover of his like book that he's publishing. It's seriously, it has that level of gravitas. Yeah, seriously, it's amazing.
Yeah, I just that's what I do when I'm listening to your podcast. If I'm not doing something, I'm like sitting somewhere, just going.
You're listening. Why are you nodding your head, Isaiah?
Yeah.
Richard.
Yeah. I've been doing it through this whole conversation, right? Like Yara saying something, I'm just like, yeah, that's truth right there. Like, speak it. Like,
yeah, and you notice my head's
listen to good songs here.
Same with mine. I was like, I might as well be listening to "We Got the Moves," but my head's bobbing to what I'm hearing. So anyway, answer the question.
Oh, I think the saying that I say to Richard, to you is, or to the three of you guys is, you can do anything in life. And I tell my kids, I talk to them, you can do anything in life, anything. But just remember, there's always going to be a consequence. And I back my kids up, whatever it is that you want to do, just because I never really had this with my mother. Like, my mom will never say sorry. She'll never admit that she's wrong. I think Isaiah's like, Richard, sorry.
I'm just burping.
Is like, I mean, I admit when I'm wrong, right? You're like, sometimes.
For the most part.
But like the way I was raised, if my mom says the sky is red, it's red.
Oh yeah. It was the same for me.
It's her way or the highway, and she's never going to apologize. She's never going to. I don't think my mom has ever told me sorry about anything. I think I apologize a lot. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry I did this, or I'm sorry, like my anxiety went through the roof and I'm yelling at you guys. Just because that's the way I was raised. My mom was always yelling. And I feel like that's where my anxiety comes through. But then as a mother, I'm like, I don't want to be like my mom. I want to fix that. I want to break that chain. I want to be able to communicate with my kids. I want them to be able to come and talk to me and tell me anything. Right. And I don't want them to feel the way I'm feeling, because I know that if I go to my mom and let's say she comes on this podcast, she would be like, yeah, whatever. Like, that's not real what you're feeling. Get over it. Like, grandma would say, get over it. Well, so, like, get over it.
So I guess she'd probably come to me and be like, your podcast is bullshit.
she would say, just get over it. Get that chip off your shoulder. So,
I would say, yeah, I could definitely see that grandma saying that. But that's the thing, though. I feel like she's only that way to her kids. Because I've lived with my grandmother for a couple of years before I came back, just for college and stuff, just to lower the cost and free food, free good food.
I was gonna say no.
Yeah, like grandma food's always
grandma food.
Yeah.
Right? Wait, let me correct that. My grandma on my dad's side had a small army of children. She couldn't cook to save her life for flavor, but she could cook a lot of it. Now, my mom's side, that had the flavor.
Yeah. We got the benefit, everything spicy. That's when I first went to her house, I could barely stand hot Cheetos. Now, when it comes to anything, I need red peppers, I need chili peppers, salsa. I need all the biggest salsa. That's what I need.
I need to send you the meme about what happened when I had yellow curry.
Ooh. I haven't had curry, but there's a place in Fresno called Pizza Curry, and they're like world renowned now.
So the different colors are like different heat levels and intensities. Yellow's pretty mild and very flavorful. I became, let's just say I was a volcano for 3 days.
Ooh.
I
I'm going to admit it. I now have joined the club of 50% before the age of 50 that needs preparation H because of the curry.
I feel closer to you now. Thank you, E.
But I will say this.
I think you need a bidet, dude.
I have sworn off curry, but I know that I will eat it again before the end of the year. Because it's so good. It hurts so good.
I dated a Punjabi chick for a minute, and
curry's so good.
Like Indian food hurts so bad but tastes so good. Yeah. Like I was like, I thought you loved me. My face, it hurts. Like pepper sprayed my mouth with this food, but I can't stop eating it. Yeah. Like
that's when you
I became like a food sadist,
and then you go
a food masochist.
Then you go to the bathroom and you're like, hey, look, I got a second butthole.
Yeah, that was not pretty.
Another good one.
All right, you can't have an overnight guest doing that.
No. So we're all in the Sacramento area. If you get the chance, over in the Arden area is a place called World Kebab. It's a Persian place. Their saffron rice and lamb, as freaking amazing as anything I've ever had from Indian food with the curry and all that.
I don't like lamb. It leaves a gamey taste in my mouth.
Their lamb is not gamey because of the saffron that it's so. I mean, saffron is literally the single most expensive item on earth.
Yep, it is the most expensive herb on the planet.
It's more expensive than gold by weight. It is so expensive, but it's not for everybody. I love it. Like, I tasted it once and I was like, this is heaven.
But going back to...
I was just going to go back to...
anxiety.
Yeah, I was going to go back to anxiety and I had a point I wanted to make earlier.
You were going to say something about Grandma.
Oh, finish.
She definitely has a different... I think it's because I'm older, too, and because I lived with her. So I was, around her for a good 3 years. She's like, I'm going to go to the grocery store. Do you want to come? And now to go with her. Oh, you want to go to church? Yeah, I'll go to church. We always ended up there late, but we had... The conversations going to church and coming out of church are the most influential for me because she would just open up, about certain things that I don't know if she's ever told my mom or her kids, or just she'll give you her opinion on everybody, but then you see her perspective on it. She's just worried about everybody, but you see her going down these rabbit holes of not going at it the right way. She's like, oh, I'm doing this because they're acting like this. And so I don't want to deal with it. And I'm just like, I don't think that's the right way to do that. And I would tell her too. And she's like, she would tell me this magic word. Cha, cha, cha.
What? Cha, cha,
cha, cha, cha.
Shut up.
Cha.
Yeah, just shut up.
And I'm like, okay.
And that means what?
Shut the fuck up.
Ah! Yeah, see, that's new to me. I'm today years old when I learned chat.
So, something that I've noticed a similarity between Latin cultures and the Filipino culture is I feel like parents feel like they need to toughen up their kids for the world. Mm-hmm. But once you become a grandparent, it's like their right to spoil and be soft with the grandbabies. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like the kindness skips a generation. And it was like that. It was like that with I hung out with a lot of Filipino people, guys in growing up in the city. And it was like their parents were all y'all are ruthless.
Hardcore.
But the grandparents come around, they're the sweetest, most nurturing. Don't listen to your mom, she's mean. Come here, baby, let me talk to you. Let me tell you how things really are.
I feel like I'm that mom because I feel like I'm really hard on my kids, or I was really hard.
She said hard on.
I'm not a child.
My son's right next to me.
That's what makes it funny. It's because it's uncomfortable for you. It's like giving you both a wedgie at the same time.
You ass.
I love you,
but
T.
I feel like I'm gonna be that grandmother where I'm softening up and I'm like, oh, when I have my grandkids, I'm not gonna talk to them the way I talk to my kids. Yep, right, Eric?
I have grandkids. I get it. Yep, you dropped my name again. And I was going to say, okay, I don't necessarily think that it's all that like culturally like unique because like even like I'm about as white as they come. Same thing. Parents are tough on their kids. Grandparents are totally nice on their kids. And even Bill Cosby once again said, when my parents come over and they're totally sweet to my kids, I'm like, these are not the same people that raised me. These are old people trying to get into heaven. And see, that joke just crossed cultures there. Everybody laughed. Because, it's valid.
I'm getting into heaven.
I think what it is, more than anything, is that once you're a grandparent and you start seeing your children emulating you with your grandchildren, you start going, I kind of fucked up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you come back in and you try to correct it. You try to mitigate the damage that what you did to your child is being passed to the grandchildren. You're fighting your own demons on a different battleground.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I'm like, I don't want you guys yelling at my grandkids. I don't want you guys. I mean, you guys never really got spanked. I mean, once in a blue moon, but like we got whooped. We got hit.
There was no spanking. It was like I've said it before. It was World Expo style ass whoopings.
Yep, we got.
You get your ass whooping. In my age, you get your ass whooped in public. Somebody will stop and hold you from wiggling that your parents don't even know to help them whoop your ass. Ask me how I know.
I can still tell you. I could tell you to the exact day that my dad stopped spanking because my sister and I, we completely fucking unnerved him. He came in and lit me up, but I was so numb to it that I eventually
How old were you?
I was like 10 at the time. My sister was like 7 at the time. And I mean, he was lighting my world up, and I looked at him, I'm like, are you done yet? And he lost his nerve. He stopped. And he went in and he's like, okay, I gotta go spank his sister. And she goes in, and I could hear him spanking my sister. My sister is also like, okay, you done? He never spanked us again. Ever. He didn't threaten it. It was gone. It was just gone.
So you got a spanking. You didn't get your ass whooped because I got my ass whooped with a belt.
It was.
Yeah. Well, my dad was a construction worker. His entire hand was a callus. And I'll just say, usually it was open.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're getting spanked by sandpaper. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like I got it. Like, actually, the worst interaction I had with my dad was around ass whooping. I was 16. My brother had done something, and my mom was like yelling at me about my brother standing behind her, like covering his mouth, trying not to laugh. She's tearing me a new asshole over something he did. I'm not a rat. I'm not going to rat about. I saw him do it. I was like, why are you always blaming me? This is bullshit. I was like, I'm the whipping boy in this family. I'm the good kid. Like, what the fuck? I wasn't a good kid. I was like 100% thug. But I was better than he was. And I'd be like yelling.
Yeah, you were 100% thug. He was 110% thug.
Truth. But I was like, I was cursing while talking to my mom. Not cursing at my mom. You can tell because I'm still here. But
and you still have your teeth.
Right? And my pops, she had left him a long time ago, let him live in our garage, like a long ass story. But he comes flying up the stairs. He's like, boy, talk to your mom like that. I should take you to the backyard, whoop your ass like I used to. That's the height of my thuggy days. So I was at minimum fights once or twice a week. Like, I was one of 8 white kids in my high school. And I mean, yeah. I got into a lot of fights. And
so I guess, was it like, you could try, Dad?
Well, that was it. I was like, I've been waiting for this moment. I had like a triple down goose jacket on, threw it off. I was like, let's go. I'm gonna light you the fuck up, old man. So I'm 6 foot, probably like 340 pounds at that time. My dad is 160 at 5'8". The day before we were wrestling, and I picked him up, pressed him over my head, and threw him on the couch. And it registered in his face what he had just said to me and what I was willing to do. And he was just like, you need to learn some respect. Turn around and just pick yourself up downstairs.
Walk of shame!
So for a split second, I was like, yeah, got my bully. And then I was like, oh, shit, I just took my dad's pride.
Yeah, you just ripped his nuts off.
To this day, I fucking feel guilty about that. To this day, if I can go back in time, I would have just let him whoop my ass. Because he was a different man after that.
Damn.
But yeah.
And
sorry.
I'll just
Sorry to
say,
take it down to that.
I'll just say,
Right.
you know, you may be talking about, oh, you just got spankings. Okay, you know what my dad did for a living? He worked at a leather garment factory. You know what he did most of his time? He carried huge fucking stacks of leather everywhere. That is whole body dead weight that he carried effortlessly. And he's like 5'7", 5'8". He's not like the tallest guy. I'm 6'1". I'm taller than him. I'm bigger than him. Oh, he would light my ass up. He was way stronger.
It's the little ones that are wiry and quick.
Yeah,
Like the switch.
my
I
dad.
grew up in the generation to get the switch.
Yeah, my dad was like, you don't hit someone when they're down, so you make sure that you have them pinned against the wall and don't let them fall.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah. That was my dad.
Oh, yeah.
That's like some OG
You okay,
shit
Eric?
right there.
Yeah. So,
You
like,
okay?
it's like my dad was a pit bull. The only thing I had over him, I could outrun him. And I had more endurance. That was all I had. I
was a little fat kid.
All I needed was that first
My
step.
little sausage legs waddling down the street. My dad would catch me in 4 strides.
Oh no, I would get that first stride in, and I would be gone. But eventually, I'd have to come home, and I'd see dark porch, and then the lighting up of the cherry, the cigarette. Hi, Dad.
Yeah. Flashbacks of the 80s right there for me.
Man.
Sarah in the chat said never get this. Never get the skinny switch. Yeah, no, that's bad news. Richard said I was trying to drop kick his dad. I would have lit him the fuck up too. Like I got hands. I'm glad it didn't happen because I would have been like, for that moment, I would have been like, yeah, what, sucker? And I'd be like, damn, I beat my dad up.
Yeah, but okay. So the fact that you to this day would go back and allow yourself to get your ass whooped so your dad could keep his pride speaks volumes of the content and depth of your character. And Os, I love you to death. The more I get to know you, the more I love you, man.
I'm sure like one of the worst things that Richard could ever do is do something that hurt your mom so deeply she carried it for life. Whatever it is, however big or small, right? That'd probably be the worst thing for you. Probably everybody listening to the show. If you love your parent, and Richard clearly loves his mom, they're having a great time here. Like
they have an
go
amazing
back,
relationship.
It's obvious. Like this is beautiful. I can take an ass whooping. I've taken ass whoopings. It ain't nothing. I don't got like my ass whooping. Like when my parents started lecturing me, I literally told my dad, "Can you just whoop my ass so we could get it over with?" Because he was trying some new age shit. I shouldn't have asked because he did it and then lectured me. But
lectured you as you're licking your wounds.
Yeah, I was like, this ain't fair. This is bullshit. But well,
it's like I still remember to this day, and I think that it kind of broke my mom's spirit a bit. And again, like you, if I could go back in time, my mom and I, we were super close. She was my best friend. Then alcoholism happened, and I lost her. She betrayed my trust. I started hearing my deepest secrets being spread across the city grapevine. The rumor mill. Town of 3,500 people, everybody knows everybody, so eventually the rumors get back to you. Well, she went snooping through my room, and she accused me about something, and I was like, stay the fuck out of my room. I pay rent for my room, you stay the fuck out of my room. And she slapped me, full arm slap, dazed me for a second, more stunned than anything. And I looked at her, I got right into her face, put my finger under her nose and said, don't you fucking do that again, and walked away. That broke her. It was an extent. And there's other conditions, circumstances as to why my mom will never be the same again. And it's nothing emotional, it's physiological. But yeah, no, I to this day, I carry that guilt to this day. That was the day my dad came storming after me and found me at the city park, told me I needed to move out. When I got home, I found him in my truck ripping out my my spark plug wires and the coil wire. And I'm like, okay, I'm kicked out of the house, but I can't go anywhere. This is awesome.
You're out, but you can't leave.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I went and grabbed a box, started packing my shit, and my dad's like, my mom was bawling her eyes out. Oh, he's leaving. I was 18. You know, and I was like, no, I'm gone. I'm leaving. You wanted me out? I'm out. Dad, you don't have to do this. I'm like, fuck that. I am not living in this house anymore.
Yeah.
I moved back eventually.
Yeah, I think everybody boomerangs. My daughter boomeranged a few times. I boomeranged once.
I boomeranged once.
You know? Yeah, I
It's-
boomeranged once.
I don't know necessarily that it's a boomerang. It's more like the Super Ball hit the wall and came flying back. That wall's harder than I thought it was.
Yeah, I was gone for a while. But I was paying my mom's rent. Like I was 15 years old. My mom knew I was selling drugs, and she had to talk with me, and told me, if you're gonna be a doctor, be the best doctor, save all the lives. If you're gonna be a cop, be the best cop, and close the most cases. If you're gonna be a drug dealer, be the best drug dealer on the planet, because I ain't bailing your ass out. Now I need help with rent, so pay up, sucker. I was like, here you go.
Give me your fucking ill-earned gains because I need to pay rent. I'm not gonna write you out, but you better fucking do it right.
My mom was a hood mom though, so it's like
I could tell.
Sarah's probably laughing right now. She says, whenever I talk about the old days when I was in the hood, she's like, I could hear it coming out of your mouth, like that accent, the San Francisco accent comes out. I don't hear it. And she was like laughing at me about it the other day. Like I talked about some of my old friends and it just starts.
My wife is about the whitest person I know, and she's Mexican. She loves bologna, American cheese with mayo on white bread. I can't stand that shit. I watched her eat her first jalapenos ever. You know? But she goes and hangs out with her parents and her sister and her brother. Only her mom was ever raised in Mexico, and she wasn't there for all that long. Her sister married someone from Mexico City, and they have that accent. My wife, my white as fuck wife, who literally skin color is whiter than mine during the wintertime, gets the thickest accent just by hanging out with family. So yeah, you get back in that hood mindset. The hood accent comes out. My wife gets into the family mindset. The family accent comes out.
I was talking about that earlier. Like when I used to visit my grandma, I would come back with a Filipino accent. Like I'd stay at her house for 2 weeks and come back, and then all of a sudden, I'd straight 100%. Did not. If you just heard me over the phone, you would think I was an immigrant. I'm first generation, but I'm like, no.
Meanwhile, for me, I've just always been kind of an accent chameleon. You know, when in Rome. And it's not even a conscious thing. I spent a week in New York. And then I came back to San Diego.
Yeah.
It didn't last long. I only had the accent. I had the New York accent for a day, but people were laughing their asses off at me. I'm like, fuck, I'm such a sponge for this shit.
It's a funny accent.
It is. The main accent's the one I giggle at. That and the Wisconsin. I giggle at those. And I'm not giggling at the people. I'm giggling that the accent requires you to have a higher pitched voice, and you're almost doing Canadian drops of things.
Yeah, the inflections.
Yeah.
So anxiety.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up soon, too.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, I just wanted to say for UT, the fact that your daughter basically drop kicked your ass into reality over anxiety to where you could understand it and you realize the error in your ways you were able to address. I wish we could have more of that. I think a lot of family issues could start going away if we had parents that could be humbled by their children. I mean, how many times do you hear the student has become the teacher? It's the way that life is. You may have studied it for a long time, but these people lived it their entire lives. I know my daughter for the last 7 years. She's known me her whole life.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to challenge everybody who's listening to normal discussions about anxiety. Normalize it. The next time somebody tells you that they're feeling anxious or they have anxiety about something, a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction is to say that somebody else has it worse or it's not that bad.
Never
Stuff
minimize
that
your own
down.
pain.
Yeah, stuff that down. And one of the greatest things that you could do for somebody who feels like they're having anxiety, first, they're bringing it up. Their bringing it up is usually a cry for help in some sort of way.
Yep. They've already crossed the Rubicon, and they are in full blown panic mode.
And to just try to understand it, not from your point of view, but from their point of view. And it's really powerful if somebody is feeling anxiety to just ask them, what can I do to help? Even if most of the time you're going to hear them say there's nothing you can do, but just knowing somebody cares enough to want to do something can be enough. And there's power in that.
Now there's a guy that's good, like one of my best friends. I think he was on your team at one point. He had a situation where, I mean, his dog was his life. Unfortunately, his dog passed away recently, but his dog was his life. And he had a roommate that threatened to kill the dog. And he had to go back to move out. And he moved in with me. My wife and I, we took him in. And I went to go help him there, and I realized how quiet he got. And this guy's not a very quiet person, usually. When he's comfortable around someone, he's not quiet. He was having a serious anxiety attack. So what I did, I was asking him, I was like, is there anything I can do to help? And he's like, I don't think there is. I'm like, okay. So I kept talking. I talked about anything but the situation. I talked about things that he's interested in. Asked him questions about things that he knows more about than I do. Got his mind out of that. Break the cycle. It's like, you know what? It's fine. You need to address this, but I don't think you need to address it at this moment in this house while you're packing up to leave. I don't think that's serving you a purpose. We can do that later when you're in a safer environment where you feel safe.
Yep. Yeah, it's the difference in noticing triggered anxiety and general anxiety. You know, if you can get the person out of the situation that's causing the trigger, it will be a kindness. You know, and if you can't get them physically out to get their mind away from it, like he did, you know, that's amazing. You know, what I was saying earlier is more for probably a non-situational. They're not in the moment that's causing the anxiety, but they're having anxiety about something because you don't want to make them spiral. So,
right, and
that's a good call out, Pete.
And another one that I learned this one from the Anxiety Treatment Center. The most intense anxiety attacks that you'll have will feel like a heart attack to you if you've never had a heart attack. If you've had a heart attack, you can tell the difference. But if you've never had one, you don't know the difference because it's a tightness in the chest, hard breathing, tingling in the arms and the hands because you're hyperventilating. When you hyperventilate, your extremities start to get numb and tingle. That's oxygen poisoning. The average panic attack is 5 minutes. If you can make it past 5 minutes, you're probably going to be okay, and it'll probably start to ease off. Also, a heart attack. You won't realize that you're still in pain 30 seconds into a heart attack because you will be collapsed. So if you make it past 30 seconds, you're not having a heart attack. And that can help with anxiety too. For me, I will start having a panic attack, and I will start convincing myself it's a heart attack. So, and if that helps even anyone out there. And based on the Anxiety Treatment Center, that's the most common way that an anxiety attack feels. It feels like a heart attack. It's not. And knowing that it's not.
It's worth everybody researching a little bit, things that you can do to help people who are having anxiety attacks. An effective one I've seen with kids is because kids look up to us, is tell them, repeat after me or count with me. I'll say a number, you say the next number, okay? Just focus on the numbers, focus on my voice, and you're breaking that cycle.
I did this before.
Some people want to be held. Some people absolutely cannot be touched. It is. You just
literally said, there's my daughter and there's my son. Daughter needs to be hugged. Son, don't touch.
Yep. Yeah. It's that's the power of asking, what can I do?
Another one that helps with my kids a lot is, okay, focus on me. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in, hold it for a second,
breathing,
slowly out, wait a second, Do it 5 times. By the end of that
I
5
think they
times,
have
they're in a
that now
whole
with
different
kids.
world.
Is it called belly breathe?
I've heard it.
Belly
Yep.
breathing.
Yep. It's my Apple Watch when it's not, the battery's not swelling and pushing the screen off every 6 months. Not complaining too much, Apple, but your batteries swell a lot. Just saying. But it has that the Breathe app on it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely amazing. Doesn't matter what I'm doing, I will stop to do it, and I just feel more focused.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps even it's like also preventative for anxiety attacks. I may not be in one, I may not even think that I'm going to have one, but if I take that moment to breathe, I'm even more relaxed than I was before, less susceptible to one.
It's weird, but music helps me.
Yep.
Music helps. It just helps get my mind off of everything.
All right. So for everyone, this is my song that I love, and then we need to do a quick wrap up here because I think we're about done. But I challenge everyone to do this when you're having a bad day, whether it's anxiety, stress, depression, whatever. My go-to song is by a guy called Mitis, Mitis. He's from the Bay Area. The song is called For Miles and Miles. And you want the instrumental original version, not the shoehorned lyrics got thrown in after the fact version. Mm-hmm. This song, every single time, puts me into a good mood. It is so powerful.
Dude, do we have that link in the Discord?
I will drop that link in the Discord.
Thank you.
Yeah, mine is Jack Johnson, In Between Dreams album.
Oh, dude, it's Jack
the
Johnson.
Whole thing.
It's Jack Johnson.
Yep. Yeah.
I think my go-to, because I have a playlist of a good amount of songs, but I really like Michael Jackson's "Man in the Mirror."
That's such a great song.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's never a bad time, and even if it's a bad time, that's the best time to listen to it.
Right, and I mean that song is so introspective. It forces introspection too, which is a good thing. You know what? How about this, everybody? Let's all do this. Let's go into the art channel and drop your go-to song. Let's help each other. Let's build a playlist.
Mine's Alicia Keys, Superwoman.
That's a good one.
I am Superwoman.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And also, if anybody is interested that I know, because I'm not sharing this with just anybody, if you have Apple Music, I have a playlist I call My Chillness. It is over 8 hours of music that is just relaxing and chill. Bexy can attest to it. It is her go-to when she is having anxiety. It will chill you out. It is just, it's whatever, it's all the songs that just hit me. They're just chill. So yeah, everybody, let's go ahead and drop that in there in the Discord. If you don't know where our Discord is, easiest way, go to mimental.net. Up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see a Discord icon. Click on that. That's an invite link. It'll get you in. If you don't have Discord, it'll ask you to download it. Pretty straightforward. If you don't have Discord, seriously, you're missing out. Discord is amazing. Hey.
And E, just an FYI, yeah. I am mental.
Yeah. That's why we're friends. I need to switch this over to my complete... Because also, this Home Depot music started playing. I'm like, no.
Are we putting it in the art channel?
I am putting it in the art channel. I think that's the best place for it. We don't have exactly a music channel, which maybe we should.
There we go. If I could spell. Yeah, I'll just like the name.
There we go. I just dropped mine in there. And even notice it's a chill step song. If you don't know what chill step is, it's chill dubstep.
There you go.
That explains it.
Yeah. I mean, it literally is in the name. But I get it. Sometimes it's, what's obvious isn't obvious to everyone. I am the person that, if it's obvious, I'll fucking miss it. If it's subtle, I'll catch it every time. It's why no one is allowed to let me know that they got me birthday presents or Christmas presents, because I will guess them. I will guess them. The slightest little hint I got one time, my wife said, it's something that you kind of wanted in the kitchen. Oh, we're getting a crock pot. Fucking nailed it. Blew her mind. I came home one day.
That's
This was when I was living in San Diego with my ex-wife. I came home one day and the house was clean. My parents are coming over, aren't they? What are you talking about? The house is clean. All right, I saw that awesome. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. I think that we will go ahead and get that observations thing going. If people are interested in it, and plus it's like mini episodes that's going to be coming from each of us. We do it when we feel that we have something. Let's see. I'm going to take a quick look. Do we have anyone scheduled for next week? Next week is open. I might actually be grabbing that. I'm working right now on literally the issue that scares me more than anything in my life that has ever scared me. And I want to discuss it on the air, a little bit post-mortem a bit, but it's something I need better understanding of. It's going to be part of my therapy. I need this. I'm not going to ask anyone to do anything I won't do that I won't do myself. I am facing my greatest nightmare, and I'm going to do it live.
Well, you got a whole team and community behind you.
That's why I feel safe doing it. It's terrifying, but even without the podcast, I need to get this done. This is my biggest demon. It is the biggest demon I've ever faced. I do not need this one going to my kids. Fortunately, it's not something that can necessarily be passed on, per se, and we'll get into more details later. Anyway, thank you again, T and Richard, for coming on. Richard, thank you so much always for lighting up our chat to make me laugh in the middle of episodes. I love it. Plus, you are just as insightful as you are funny, which is really awesome.
Thank you.
You guys have been amazing. You're beautiful people. Thank you for sharing everything you have.
And now I want to play Marilyn Manson. The beautiful people. All right. Until next week, I am E.
I'm off.
I'll catch you then.
Bye, guys.